Good morning. Today is the first day of Nissan, Rosh Chodesh Nissan, the day which is considered to be the new year for Jewish kings, for Melchei Israel, Melchei Yehuda. And it's also the first month of the year, whereas the first of Tishrei is considered to be the first day of the solar year, or not the solar year, but the entire year, not counting the months. So that's a topic in and of itself, which we won't get into today. Today is also the day on which the Mishkan was built, finished for the first time. It had been built since the 23rd of Adar, which we talked about last time I was there in Los Angeles. And today is what's called the 8th day. So it's really what we read in the Torah reading this week, which is Parashat Vayikra, is the truly the 8th day of the consecration of the Mishkan. So it's actually one of the few times during the year that what we read in the Torah is aligned with a date. It began with God calling Moses, and that was on the 8th day. Okay, so what we want to look at today is today's Torah reading, and the Torah reading begins, I believe, in chapter 4, verse 1. And God spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people when a person unwittingly incurs guilt in regard to any of God's commandments about things not to be done and does one of them." So we begin to study what happens when a special type of person does something wrong. And so he also brings what we call an atonement sacrifice, korban chatat. The special thing about the atonement sacrifice is that the blood of the animal was sprinkled on the curtain inside the sanctuary. But we're not going to get into the details. Instead, we're going to look at who these people are in today's reading. So the first one is called the anointed priest, which is really the high priest. There can be also an anointed priest who's not the high priest. And that happens when a priest has to be anointed to go out into battle, and it's not the high priest, it's someone else instead of him. So he's called the Kohen HaMashiach also, he's called the anointed priest. In any case, that's the first person that our Torah reading discusses, how he brings his atonement sacrifice. And then in verse 13, we switch to what happens when the Sanhedrin as a whole make a mistake in their ruling, a mistake that they later figure out was a mistake, and they realize this. So the Torah says, if it is the community leadership of Israel, meaning the Sanhedrin, that is erred, and the matter escapes the notice of the congregation, so that they do any of the things that God's commandments ought not to be done, and they realize their guilt. When the sin through which they incurred guilt becomes known, the congregation shall offer a bull of the herd as a sin offering, and bring it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the community shall lay their hands upon the head, meaning the members of Sanhedrin, of the bull before God, and the bull shall be slaughtered before God. And the reason I want to focus on this is because it worked out this year that this is the fourth Torah reading, and the members of the Sanhedrin have a special name. Here they're just called the elders of the community, but elsewhere they are called the eyes of the congregation. And what does it mean? Why would they be called the eyes of the congregation? What kind of a description is that? Well, the simple meaning is that they're supposed to see the law, as it were. The whole point of being a Sanhedrin is that they see things, they see the depth of the Torah and so on, and so they can rule. But there's a much deeper meaning of the eyes of the congregation, of this phrase, which has to do particularly with today, the first day of Nissan. And as I asked Shlomo before, to open up on page 392 of the Siddur, of the blue Siddur, the Tehilat Hashem, the Chabad Nusach. And there's a custom to start on this day reading exactly this topic of the leaders of the congregation, the Nisi'im, sometimes this is translated as the princes. Let me read it. So on page 392, what we see is that on the first day of Nissan, we begin to read the sacrifices that they brought, the special sacrifices that they brought. And they began bringing it on the 1st of Nissan, and they did so until the 12th. So the 1st and 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th, all the way to the 12th, 12 tribes with 12 princes for each tribe. They brought a particular offering each one. The offerings were all the same. They were all exactly the same. And this is one of the most important sections in the Torah that describes to us how people can do the same thing but mean something different. Meaning each one of the princes who brought an offering, a sacrifice, brought the same thing, but the Medrash then goes to explain how each one had something else in mind. Now, I want to read what we say after each one of these readings. So at the end of the davening, we read it. Today it's a little bit longer because it starts from the beginning. On the day that Moses finished setting up the tabernacle, meaning on the 1st of Nissan, today, and had anointed it and sanctified it in all its vessels, and the altar and all its vessels, and had anointed them and sanctified them. Then the princes of Israel, the heads of their fathers' houses, who were the princes of the tribes, those who had superintended the counting, offered. Meaning they brought each one an offering. And then it describes what each one brought. At the end of this reading, we have a Yehi Ratzon, we have a short prayer, and the prayer reads like this: May it be your will, Hashem, my God and God of my fathers, that in your great kindness you will shine upon the holy souls that renew themselves like birds, and sing and praise and pray on behalf of the holy people Israel. Master of the world, gather and take in those sacred birds, meaning these souls, to the holy place, of which it is said, no eye has seen it except you, O God. What are we talking about? We're talking about our souls. Because this is the new year of the Jewish people, this is not the general universal new year of the 1st of Tishrei. This is specifically our new year. As Hashem said to Moshe in Egypt, HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodashim. This day, the first day of Nisan, is for you the head of all months, the first of all months. So our souls renew on this day. And what does it mean that they renew? This is like, in a sense, a birthday for each tribe. Each tribe celebrates its birthday, its communal birthday, on the day on which its prince brought its offering. So the tribe of Yehuda, which is the first one, celebrates, as it were, on the first day of Nisan. What that means is that its mazel is stronger. The mazel of the tribe of Yehuda is strongest on this day, the first day of Nisan. Tomorrow it'll be Yisachar, and the day after Zvulun, and so on. Each one has a day on which the souls of that tribe renew. So the question would arise, why is it that we read all 12? Each one of us, we're only from one tribe, even if we don't know which tribe we are. And certainly, the Kohanim and the Levim today, we have a Mr. Cohen, so he supposedly should not read at all. Why? Because he's not one of the 12 tribes. The Levites are a separate tribe. They're the 13th tribe. They're not part of the 12. They've been elevated to a higher level. They are the ones who serve God. And so they shouldn't be reading this at all. So let's read what it says here. And it says, Master of the world, gather and take in those sacred birds to the holy place of which is said, no eye has seen it except you, O God. May it be your will, Lord my God and God of my fathers, that if I, your servant, am of the tribe of Judah, the Torah section of whose prince I have recited today, then may there shine upon me all the holy sparks and all the holy lights which are contained in the holiness of this tribe, to understand and comprehend your Torah and the fear of you, to do your will all the days of my life, and I, my children, my children's children, from now and forever. So what are we saying? It says, because we don't know which tribe we're from, so we read all 12, and we say, and if I'm from the tribe of Yehuda, so this should shine on me, this should replenish my soul. But like I said, even Kohanim and even Leviim say this. So what's the explanation? The explanation is that really every one of us has an aspect from all the others. This is how it is in holiness. What does it mean to have an aspect from everyone else? Meaning even if I'm from the tribe of Yehuda, let's say, today, and someone else is from the tribe of Levi. So in spite of the fact that I'm from the tribe of Yehuda, I also have in me an aspect from the tribe of Levi, and I also have in me an aspect from the tribe of Yisachar and Zvulun, and so on. So the Kohen, even though he's from the tribe of Levi, he also has from all the other tribes in his soul. Meaning the souls are not purely one thing or another. They're a composite of all the tribes of Israel. So what does this mean regarding, practically, what does it mean? It means that each one of us can relate to all the different perspectives. How is the tribe of Yehuda different than the tribe of Yisachar, for instance? So the tribe of Yehuda, its strength is what we call speech. Its ability, its special ability is to lead through speech. The tribe of Yisachar, on the other hand, its special ability is thought. They were the ones who had deep understanding in the secrets of nature and the secrets of the Torah. So they taught Torah. They had a special bina. This all relates back to what we started with, that the members of Sanhedrin are called the eyes of the congregation. What does it mean that they are the eyes? Eyes, when I say I'm looking at something, I have one perspective, because I only have one pair of eyes. But really what this is saying is that if you're not looking physically, but rather spiritually, psychologically, if I'm looking at someone else, if I can see the world from their perspective, if I can understand the world from the direction that they see it, then I have grown another pair of eyes, as it were. I see the world from somewhere else. Our eyes, what they do is, it's not just to reveal the physical world around us. The eyes are to see a certain perspective on reality. Now we're usually locked into our perspective because our eyes are here. And this is what I see, this is how I see the world. I always see it from my perspective. But wisdom, the true wisdom of the Torah, is to open up a person to understanding other perspectives, to be able to see something else. The members of the Sanhedrin, that was their greatest quality, that when they were trying a case, they saw all the different perspectives. All the different ways of looking at this came into their minds, and they understood it fully. This was their great ability. That's why they're called the eyes of the congregation. In that sense, each one of the Sanhedrin was like exactly what we're beginning to do today, that we're reciting the verses relating to each one of the tribes, even though we're only from one tribe, because this is what we call inter-inclusion of all of us together allows us to understand one another, allows us to see the world, to see the Torah also, from all the separate 70 faces of the Torah. You've probably heard of this idea that the Torah has 70 faces. What do we mean by 70 faces? That each member of the Sanhedrin saw all 70 faces, was able to see all 70 perspectives on understanding of the Torah, which are manifest, which reveal themselves through the 70 perspectives between all the Jews. Every single Jew has a different perspective on the Torah. And that is the beautiful connection today between the Torah reading, which is about the Sanhedrin, and when it makes a mistake, and why it is as if the entire people bring a sacrifice, and the Torah readings of the 12 tribes that we begin to read today on the first day of Nissan. And as we mentioned, this is the new year of the Jewish people. And what it means is that all our souls are rejuvenated on this day. They're rejuvenated particularly with the ability to see the 70 faces of the Torah, to understand how each one of us is coming from a different point of view to understand the Torah, and we need all the points of view together. So wishing you a Chodesh Tov, and it should be full of new light, full of new strength, and all our souls should be rejuvenated. We should be united together as one people.
Amen.
We didn't have a chance to say bye to you, Rabbi. We make it special for you again. See you soon.